Deputy Speaker. Deputy Speaker, we are living through the era of consequences when it comes to climate change. Extreme weather events, whether they be fires, floods, heat waves, or indeed extreme cold snaps, have become a new dystopian reality. But we also are now in an era of a responsive government that is trying its hardest to turn this supertanker around. For the first time, after a decade of denial and delay, we have a coherent energy policy, a policy that is focused on energy generation, energy distribution, and indeed energy storage. Three pillars to having a coherent, all of society approach to climate change. We legislated targets. This was one of the earliest acts that we performed as a government, and we now have legislated targets which take us on a trajectory to net zero. And in just 1 year, we've seen the effects of this investment signal. We started off with renewable energy sitting at 33%. It is now at around 38, 39%, and that hasn't happened by accident. Now, we have a massive uplift required in order to get us to our 2030 target, which will be 82% renewable energy. Some say that is too ambitious. We think that that is achievable, but we realise that we have a lot of work to do. We've also imposed tough emission controls on our heaviest emitters through the safeguard mechanism, actually putting teeth on this mechanism, which it didn't previously have. And that means that it'll be equivalent to taking 2/3 of Australia's cars off the roads. And it's actually quite difficult when you think about the emitters that we are actually talking about: big oil, big gas, coal mines, and so on. But eventually, the same safeguard mechanism will also be invoked for renewable energy projects, gigascale, wind farms, for example, indeed critical mineral mines, and so on. In addition to this, we've committed $20 billion to rewiring the nation to modernise our grid so that it is indeed renewable ready. We've announced 6 offshore wind zones, including one off the Bass Strait. This will enable Tasmania to reach an ambitious target of 200% renewable energy. It is an absolutely fantastic announcement. It also means that it's partnered us with other groups worldwide in the Global Offshore Wind Alliance. Australia is now a signatory to that. With respect to the next stages, we have announced 6 sectoral plans. So we're taking a sector-by-sector approach to decarbonise our country. And that means that we are tailoring plans for the electricity and energy market, industry, agriculture, the built environment, transport, and indeed the resource sector. With respect to transport, Australia, for the first time in Commonwealth history, has a national EV strategy. This strategy was designed with stakeholders and means that we have now seen we've introduced tax cuts for electric vehicles, which has resulted in an uplift in sales from 2% to now 9%, but we want to go further. This EV strategy is also partnered with $500 million towards a national charging infrastructure, which includes eventually rolling out hydrogen on our highways for our heavy vehicles. And with respect to green hydrogen, this is a small molecule with big ambitions. We have devoted $2 billion to a hydrogen Head Start program in our last budget. This will enable Australia to create the liquid fuel that will eventually replace diesel and petrol for our heavy machinery and our heavy industry. But with respect to storage, we want to keep the lights on with green energy, and that's why we've introduced a capacity investment scheme. This is $10 billion towards this, and community batteries. We're rolling out 400 across the nation at a cost of $100 million. But that's not all. We're wrapping integrity around this because obviously there's a lot of money involved in this transition, and indeed across 2 budgets we've committed $40 billion of public money. And this is why we introduced the National Anti-Corruption Commission. We've also strengthened the Climate Change Authority, a legacy of the Gillard government, and we actually pumped another $46 million into this authority that had been starved under those opposite. We commissioned the Chubb review to look at offsets, and we also dispensed with the dodgy Kyoto credits of the previous government. So we have a lot to do, and the climate piece will in fact be integrating with a lot of other work, including industry and skills.